Welcome back. I'm Jester of the Retro Stars. I'm playing through Ocarina of Time and analyzing it as we go. We are about to reach the worst part of the game, and today I'm going to offer a semi-ironic explanation and argument for why this part of the game is good and cool, actually, on a narrative and symbolic level. I'm also going to just complain a lot about it because I really don't like the next dungeon that we are about to encounter. Okay, we have just gotten the fish scale, the Zora scale that allows us to dive deeper. So now I can, hypothetically, there we go, grab this bottle that has a letter from Princess Ruto that I'm going to give to her father. And it's going to explain that she has been swallowed by Lord Jabu-Jabu, the guardian spirit of the Zora. I mentioned last time that it's interesting that the Zora's problem specifically has to do with the apparent dysfunction of their sacred entity, their guardian spirit. With the Gorons, all we have is the fact that they can't get to the delicious rocks in the Dodongo's cavern because there's a big boulder in front of it, and then it's also crawling with Dodongos. But here, the entity that should be protecting the Zora, that should be the one allowing the well-being and flourishing of the community, is actually the not necessarily the cause, but partially the cause of their distress. The actual cause, of course, is Ganondorf. He's shown up. He tried to demand the Zora Sapphire, and his behavior so upset Lord Jabu-Jabu that he starts acting out and accidentally swallows Princess Ruto. So here I am giving the explanation to King Zora. And we have, coming up here, the best cutscene of the game. Give it only a moment. See, we reach Jabu-Jabu by going behind King Zora here, and here we go. Weep, 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 weep. Such grace, such elegance. It just keeps going. It's really good. Still going. Weep, 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 weep. Amazing. This, too, is how I move from a really comfy position. Alright, now we can go reach Lord Jabu-Jabu. Man, I'm playing this on a CRT TV, and it is just freaking out right now. It's all flickery. I think I might have somehow damaged the video component of the AV cables. It's fine. It's back to normal now. Okay, another fun Shinto connection. In order to get inhaled by Lord Jabu-Jabu, I need to offer him a fish. Is there a fairy in one of these, actually? Hold on. I do want to... Actually, let me see if there's a fairy first. And there is not. Okay, I have to offer him a fish. In a lot of Shinto rituals, practitioners will offer food to the kami of a given shrine as a sign of respect. And here, that's literally what we're doing. Jabu-Jabu's kind of plopped there on this shrine here. You give him the fish, and he allows you access to his stomach. Okay, here we are. I think this is, without a doubt, the worst dungeon of the game. So before I analyze it, fight you guys, before I analyze it, I'm going to complain about it. Because perhaps that will be slightly cathartic. It's really not that bad once you actually know where to go. But if you don't know where to go, the place can be kind of a nightmare. Later on we'll see, I think in just the next room actually, there's this central room with all of these weird goopy holes you can fall down. And if you fall down the wrong one, you'll end up in just you know, you just have to go around and figure out the right way, and it's a whole thing. Yeah. Anyway, the reason that this temple is dumb and bad. Here's the room that I was talking about. There's all these different holes you can fall down, and here's Princess Ruto. She is one of the reasons this temple is dumb and bad. She just kind of sits around, you have to carry her around, and she's just irritating and mean to you the whole time. The idea is that she's, you know, a princess. She's very snooty. She demands a lot from you. Whatever. I actually think Ruto's a fun character, but I think when you're meeting her in this environment, oh, and she immediately just falls down the hole there. So, you want to fall down after her and talk to her until she allows you to carry her. Okay, the reasons that this temple dungeon, I do call the Ocarina of Time dungeons, or any Zelda dungeons, I just refer to them as temples usually, and I think that's fairly common just because that's kind of what we associate with Ocarina of Time, is the adult dungeons specifically. Anyway, other reasons that this dungeon is really irritating. One of them is the design. You have eyes, you can see it. It's this weird, goopy flesh walls surrounding you everywhere. Everything's gross and fleshy and gross, and look at this. That's the doorway. That's gross. Another reason is that the enemies are really irritating. You can't do anything about these bubbles here until you get the boomerang, which is the object, the item of this temple. In theory, I think that's interesting because... Oh, I do want to kill him, because then I'll have 10 gold skulltulas and I'll be able to get my adult wallet. Oh, okay, I have to raise the water level. That's annoying. What was I saying? I am trying to get to the point where I can just do an episode of this in like one take, and I'm trying to get more okay with stuttering, with slight mistakes, that sort of thing. And I need to do it again. We're getting there. The first few episodes I had a lot of different cuts when I just paused to kind of catch my breath. Okay, the enemies. I think the idea of running into enemies that you can't actually beat until you get the item of the dungeon is really interesting because it gives you a sense of your growth as a character. You get the power-up that then allows you to deal with the enemies that were causing you difficulty, and I think that could be really cool. But it can also just be really annoying, and I feel like the bubbles here, especially as you're carrying Princess Ruto and don't have means of attack, are really annoying. So we've got unappealing design, annoying enemies. Ruto as a character being a little bit annoying, the fact that you have to carry her around and can't attack while she's, you know, while you're carrying her, while you have her on your head, that's kind of annoying. The design can be a little bit confusing. The layout of the temple can be confusing if you fall down the wrong hole. And there's a lot of repetitive rooms and repetitive challenges, as we'll see in a moment once we get to the next area. So, I don't like this area of the game very much. But I'm going to argue, semi-ironically, that narratively and symbolically, the temple is serving and I said temple again, the dungeon is serving an interesting and cool function. Basically, I'm going to argue that as Link is traversing this area, I think I need to go right first. I always go left and it's always the incorrect direction. This might be wrong. I'm going to argue that as Link is traversing the interior of Jabu-Jabu's belly, he is enacting an aped version of the hero's journey. So he's playing at the hero's journey without actually experiencing it, basically. Oh, these guys, yeah. So in the hero's journey, okay, we're fine. The hero's journey has several different stages, right? The hero starts out in the known world, he gets the call to adventure, he has to leave the known world, there are all these trials and tribulations that he has to face. One of the stages on the hero's journey is called the Belly of the Beast. This stage... Do I even have means to fight these? Can I... Okay. Oh, just shoot him. I'm cool and good at— oh my goodness, I hate whenever you just shoot the walls and they jiggle. It's horrible. This place just gives me the ick. Okay, the Belly of the Beast takes place right after the hero has left the known world and entered the realm of the unknown, where he's going to face adventures and challenges. In the Belly of the Beast, the hero will enter some sort of metaphorical womb, some sort of cave, or he might be swallowed by a beast. He allows himself to enter this metaphorical womb, this cave, this place of darkness, in order to experience a certain metamorphosis. So the idea here is that he experiences a certain metaphorical death and resurrection. Oh good, we have the boomerang. Okay. He experiences a certain metaphorical death and resurrection. He gives up his own ego, he faces a realm of darkness, and he has to do so to gain some greater knowledge about himself, about the world, that then better enables him to go on his quest. So this moment in general should have great emotional import, right? It's about experiencing death and resurrection. It's about giving up of the ego, surrendering to the realm of the dead, to the realm of chaos, so that you can then be transformed and be reborn in some metaphorical sense. Link doesn't really do that, right? He doesn't have— I can't— please. Z targeting. Please sit down. I shall pick you up and put you on a different button so that then I can engage in repetitive challenges. Anyway, Link doesn't really experience this profound moment of death and resurrection, or this profound moment of like greater revelation about the self or the universe or whatever. He's just kind of here. Once again, he's playing at being the hero. An example of this sort of Belly of the Beast moment having great emotional import, Joseph Campbell's interpretation of the Jonah story, I think, is an example of this, right? Jonah is this prophet who's like trying to run from his role as a prophet. He travels with some sailors, excuse me, and there's a great storm, and Jonah's like, just throw me into the ocean, right? And the ocean is often this symbol in ancient mythology of the realm of chaos, the realm of like, you know, primordial chaos before the universe was created, and often it symbolizes death. So Jonah's like, throw me overboard. He gets swallowed by a giant fish, and 3 days later is reborn, and then fulfills his role as prophet, right? So Joseph Campbell is reading a certain like decreation into the Jonah story, like this death and resurrection. He has to enter the realm of chaos. It's this profound, weird moment that he has to endure. Link doesn't have to endure that. He's just here. Even though the aesthetics of this temple potentially could— okay, I think there's just a bunch of bubbles here. And we're timed here for some reason. I don't understand. Anyway, the aesthetics of this temple really could avail itself to the sort of uncanny horror that Joseph Campbell is talking about when he's talking about the Belly of the Beast. We can see it just in terms of its imagery, right? It's gross and fleshy, and we also have a bunch of ocean imagery as well. So this is really interesting. It's uncanny because we have, on some level, a crossing of boundaries. We are in a building that is also a giant fleshy thing that is also the ocean, right? It's full of these weird bubble creatures. There are all of these weird electric dudes, and I'll fight those in just a second. Okay. Yeah, there are all these weird electric dudes, and it's actually kind of horrifying when Link gets hit by one. It's like they're flying around, it's weird and uncanny. He gets frozen for a minute, you have all these weird electrical stuff flying everywhere. And the boomerang can take care of that as well. So you really do need the boomerang to navigate anything in this temple. Okay. So the imagery of the temple, dungeon, whatever, does support this idea of entering the realm of the dead, the realm of primordial chaos, because we have so much ocean stuff, we have so much weird body horror going on. Like, look at this. This is gross. This is... Okay, there we go. One more. This room especially, they're supposed to be... They're differentiated by being different colors. Because again, these are repetitive things. We've got to, like, break a lot of these different tentacle things. But the fact that we have the fleshy walls, but also the weird green, blue, turquoise stuff going on in the background that looks like mold or disease, it's gross. And you also, like, you can't help playing this without wondering, what in the world are you doing to Jabu-Jabu's body right now? What parts of his body are you destroying? It's uncomfortable. So we're crossing the boundaries. This is the ocean. This is the inside of a body. This is a building. This is this realm of primordial chaos. This is a realm of the dead. Here's another one, and this one's green. Actually, I think this room might be grosser because it's a sort of a yellow green. Can you... Okay. And I don't think you can kill the jellyfish unless you have the boomerang either. Come down, please. There we go. Yes. Anyway, this room is grosser. I'm real great at video games, you guys. Okay, so anyway, we have all of the components for telling a compelling belly of the beast section of the hero's journey without actually having this moment of the journey on an emotional level for Link. I think potentially on an emotional level, the belly of the beast might be entering the Great Deku Tree. So that's a possibility that we actually do maybe have that moment here. But not in the actual section where you are going into a literal belly of the beast. Okay, we're almost to the mini boss, I believe. Anyway, it sounds like narratively this would be a bad thing. It sounds like, okay, why would you want to have the imagery of the belly of the beast, but not the emotional import? I think it works though, and this is my semi-ironic defense of this section. I think it works because Link is still a child. He's still playing at being the hero. He doesn't actually know what it entails, and he has not actually experienced the sort of metamorphosis, the ego death, the death and resurrection that is entailed in living out this hero narrative. He experiences that after this dungeon, once he is sealed away in the sacred realm for 7 years and becomes an adult. I think then he experiences a certain death and rebirth, potentially. He experiences certainly a certain death, a certain ego death in his understanding of himself as the hero. That's not working. Okay. Another reason that this dungeon is not very good is the mini boss is kind of annoying. Okay, so basically he's gonna spin around. And nope. There we go. Okay, so he's frozen, then he's going to spin around. You can also see outside the skybox here. Okay, so freeze him again. He's got to face the other direction for you to hit him, because he moves faster than you. You can't actually, like, walk up behind him. Okay. Yeah, so Link is still playing at being the hero. It makes sense that he's enacting the stages of the hero's journey without actually understanding what they mean. That is not working. Okay, so that's my half-hearted defense. I really don't like this dungeon. I think it's gross, and it could be really cool. Like the idea of doing a body horror, but also using the weird ocean imagery. Like there's something sort of Lovecraftian about it. It could be really cool, but maybe something about the art direction, the level design, just the weird, annoying, whatever else. It just doesn't work. It could work. It doesn't work. It's the worst part of the game, without a doubt. Anyway, that's my defense. This is not working, and now some of the geometry is in my way. I can't see beyond it. I'm blind enough as it is. There we go. There we go. Okay, no problem. Okay. The item that we get in this dungeon is the boomerang, and I've talked before about how the items that Link receives, in general, has to do with gaining the powers and the abilities of specifically the Fae-like races associated with nature, the Kokiri, the Gorons, and the Zoras. So how does the boomerang support this? We've already talked about how he gets the Zora scale, and this allows him to swim better, right? We can see a very clear Zora connection there. But all of the Zora power-ups have to do... This is... Oh dear. Oh no, it's gonna unfreeze. Hold on. I'm jumping over here. Can I don't even think I can... Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna freeze this. We're gonna... I can't kill him. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. The Zora power-ups have to do with movement. So the Zora scale allows him to dive deeper. In the water temple, he's going to receive the long shot, which is the longer version of the hook shot, which of course has more to do with movement. And this is all about, like, embodying the metaphor of water, right? Water flows. It's not stagnant. It's all about movement. I mean, I guess stagnant water is stagnant. Whatever, you get the idea. It's all about movement. So what about the boomerang? It seems that the boomerang is just another projectile weapon. I think we can think of the boomerang as particularly Zora-like in several different ways. First of all, and this is very on the nose, right? Like, this whole episode is super on the nose. Whatever, it's fine. It's shaped like a fin. So on an aesthetic level, it's Zora adjacent. But it also allows Link to reach enemies and areas that he couldn't with the fairy slingshot, which is the item of the Kokiri, one of the items of the Kokiri. There's another Skulltula. We don't need any more. I only really want the adult's wallet. Other than that, the items aren't super useful that we can get from the fabulously wealthy family that have all been turned into spiders. We haven't met them yet. I'll go back to Kakariko Village at some point. But actually, here's a great example. Try to shoot that. There's a thing in the way. But I don't know what direct... There we go. Okay. There we go. So, this allows me to... the boomerang allows me to reach areas that I couldn't otherwise with other projectile weapons. So, idea of movement. Also, the way that it moves is circular, right? It goes from Link and comes back to Link. So we're going with the idea of cycles, of harmonious cycles and movement and whatever, right? So I think we can still call it very much in line with the Zora way of being in the world. And we are already at Barinade. Fantastic. See, just spend some time complaining about this temple and it goes by relatively quickly. I actually love Barinade as a boss in the way that he I don't know, in the way that it symbolizes the uncanniness that I've already been discussing. Because, like, look at this thing. It also crosses boundaries that, like, boundaries of definition that inherently evoke the uncanny. I want a Z target. It's a parasite. It's like a brain with all of its electrical signals or whatever. It's a heart. It's a jellyfish. It's an octopus. There we go. Okay. It's this weird, grotesque, spinny thing. It's cool. I like Barinade a lot, actually. And I think the fight itself is really fun. Okay. So let's take care of the spinny dudes. Interesting. He might also reflect a certain... There might be a reflection of... Actually, I want to think about this more. There might be some reflection of the bosses of the temple as a dark mirror of the races that they embody. So King Dodongo, right? He spits fire at you. He's all about power. He's living in this in a little volcano room. Dark reflection of the Gorons. Barinade, he has these spinny electrical guys always going around. Yeah, he's spinning, right? So the idea of movement, the idea of harmonious cycles like the tides. Barinade is a dark reflection of that. That's fun. Also really on the nose, but I kind of like that. Again, I like Barinade. That makes me like him more. And when I first played this game, I got a copy of it from a friend who just gave it to me. He put it in my cubby in elementary school, and he had gotten to... Oh, I should be fighting him. What am I doing? He had gotten to this... I actually need some health. That's not great. Okay, he had gotten to Jabu-Jabu. And so the first Zelda boss, or Ocarina of Time, wait, no, the first Zelda boss, because this was my first Zelda game, technically, my first completed Zelda game. My first Zelda boss was, I completed his unfinished file, so my first Zelda boss was against Barinade. And I think it's a good introduction to Zelda. He's got a bunch of cool, interesting stages. He's all about movement. King Dodongo only has the one. He only spits fire at you. But this guy, he's got his spinny, electrical, like, jellyfish dudes going around him. Then he's in the ground, and then he's, he gets out of the ground and he starts spinning around more, and the just death of this thing is grotesque, my goodness. Interesting. I really like the death animations in Ocarina of Time. They're all very different, and I think they all reflect the characters of the bosses that we're killing. So Barinade, he's a parasite, right? And so it makes sense that he's bursting into weird boils and then just exploding into this like weird green diseased bit of flesh or whatever. I like it. It's cool. Okay, we've made it through. Worst part of the game. It's over. Easy. Here's Ruto. She misses Link. Okay, the Good Blood video essay that I've mentioned before, called Ocarina of Time, a Masterclass in Subtext, talks about how the characters meet Link's... can't talk. The characters Link meets throughout the game all teach him something about growing up. They all reflect different relationships that one enters into upon, being initiated into adulthood or whatever. Saria, according to Good Blood, Saria represents friendship. Darunia represents family, right? He becomes Link's sworn brother. And Ruto represents romance. Because here she's telling Link that under normal circumstances, the Zora Sapphire is an object that you give to your fiancé. So Link is unwittingly agreeing to marry Ruto, and then Ruto is obsessed with the idea of romance throughout the entire game. So even when Link comes back and sees her as an adult, she's like, oh, you're my fiance. And, you know, Link's like, whatever. Again, he doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't understand the sworn brotherhood he has with Darunia. He also doesn't understand the idea of marriage to Ruto. He's just collecting the stones because Zelda told him to. He's like, her most precious possession? You don't know what that means. Don't tell my father. Okay, we did it. Worst part of the game. It's fine. It's over. Let's, before we leave, let's go to this other fairy fountain and collect another power-up. Okay, we need to bomb this wall here. Man, the dungeons in this game do go by so much faster than I realize. Maybe in part because I'm trying to ramble the whole time and am just kind of working on muscle memory. But I don't know, there is a difference between playing this game as an adult when you know exactly where to go and playing this game as a kid when you can just wander around for hours. Again, I've talked about how I would just go to certain places in Ocarina of Time and vibe. One of those places being the Fairy Fountain, another place being Zora's Domain. I loved the music, I loved the cool water. Okay. I think my issue with the Great Fairy is less about her design and more about the camera angles here. Though that being said, the design of this character is just kind of funny and kind of out of accord with everything else in this game. It reminds me of who's the giant lady in Dark Souls, like Lord Gwyn's daughter or whatever, where usually the characters in Dark Souls have such grand and tragic, you know, designs or whatever. But then I you know, a friend of mine is a bigger Dark Souls fan than or knows more about Dark Souls than I am, and he talks about how like Miyazaki is generally very open to letting his concept artists do whatever they want. There was a story about the artist who drew the giant lady. Is it Guinevere or something like that? I can't remember. Drew Guinevere and was just so proud of the design of her that Miyazaki didn't have the heart to tell her that, or to tell the concept artist that the design might not really fit with the rest of the vibes of Dark Souls. Anyway, okay, so again, I mentioned before that the fairy fountains are all have the same designs, but some of them are different colors. So this one has the kind of magenta, purple, red vibes going on, which I think is also really neat. There's something unnatural about this space here, but also something just really deeply calming. Again, I love the mix of colors. Anyway, I think we can pause here. I've complained about many things today. I've also given a half-hearted explanation for why Jabu-Jabu's dungeon is good and cool, actually, and serves an important function in Link's journey toward becoming a hero and stuff. Yeah. Until next time.